Hello everybody, welcome to the Lausitzring. A fantastic view from our drone there, looking down upon this huge venue, which was opened back in the year 2000, initially for IndyCar racing, a huge tri-oval circuit with an infield racetrack, and we used both parts of the circuit for this second race of the weekend for the Prototype Cup Germany. Effectively round two of the championship. There were meant to be two rounds at the opener at Spa in April, but unseasonal weather, some snow put pay to that, so the racing was cancelled, and we've got those extra races put on across the season, including this weekend. There'll be 3 races rather than 2 this weekend. We had a great race yesterday, and that was won by Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano for the DEKRA Motorsport team. But 3 qualifying sessions and 3 different pole sitters so far this weekend, and it is Julian Apostolos who's going to be starting the bright pink BWT Muka Motorsport car from pole position for this race, with his 16-year-old co-driver Riccardo Cirelli from Italy to get into the car after the mandatory pit stop. Danny Sufi was one of the stars of the race yesterday as he got in for the second part of the session in the Conrad Motorsport car in his second season now of the Prototype Cup Germany, and went on a real charge to close down the gap to the race leader, which was almost done, but not quite. He got the gap down to about 5 seconds in the end. So second place for that car yesterday, which starts on the front row of the grid once again today. And there is Felipe Lassa, who was the winner of the Nürburgring 24-hour race last year alongside Earl Bamber and Nicky Katzberg and Dan Prittard. And he has lots of class wins at the Nürburgring, a 24-hour race as well. Comes into the Prototype Cup Germany, and the Spanish driver is certainly going to be one to watch here at the start of the race. He's coming from 3rd on the grid for this one. Really impressive debut from this young man yesterday, Kiano Al-Azari from the United Arab Emirates. He has qualified better and better in each session, and from towards the back of the grid yesterday, he managed to get himself up into a podium fight, finished 4th in the end. He did pick up a penalty during the pit stop phase, which knocked him back a bit, but 4th place yesterday. He's qualified much better for this one on the 2nd row of the grid, starting in 4th, and he'll be on pole position for race 3 later on. The 18-year-old Valentino Catalano, part of the duo that won the race yesterday and therefore lead the championship alongside Marcus Pommer. They both raced in the championship last year. Marcus Pommer with a different co-driver, Gary Hauser, and with different teams. They've come together this year. Valentino himself was a race winner in 2023 at Oschersleben, and that'll be a pairing to watch, probably qualifying a little bit down the order than they would have expected, but there were mixed weather conditions during those qualifying sessions across the course of Friday. And then we've got Jaime Guzman making his debut this weekend in the championship, the Mexican driver who was 4th in the Mexican GT Championship. Has driven 500 brake horsepower Mercedes in his time as well. And then we've got Maxime Dirk starting in 7th place for Gebhard Motorsport, that beautiful art livery on the car. And Maxime will start today's race. Everybody that qualified and started the race yesterday goes into the second half of this race, so whoever took part in qualifying 2 starts today's race, unless of course you're a solo driver like Kiano Al-Azari or Antti Ramo. Antti drove really well yesterday. He's a former touring car racer in TCR cars. This is his first foray into these brilliant prototypes, these LMP3 cars, and he was heavily involved in the battle for 3rd place all the way through the race yesterday. So he'll be one to watch. He fended off a couple of hot talents behind him for much of the race. So Antti Ramo in the end coming home in 5th place, but he'll definitely come forward, I think, from where he is on the grid, qualifying a bit out of position. So the cars are all LMP3 cars. It's the 3rd season of the Prototype Cup Germany. They're powered by 5.6 litre engines, beautiful rumbling V8s, one of the best sounds in the world, a V8 engine, and they kick out around about 455 brake horsepower and weigh just 900 kilograms. So huge power to weight ratio on these cars. They will have a 55-minute plus 1 lap race. There is a mandatory pit stop whether or not you've got a co-driver, and you have 10 minutes to make that pit stop. It begins when we get to 22 minutes into the race, and then it ends before the 32nd minute is up. So you've got until 31 minutes, 59.999 seconds to come in and make your mandatory pit stop. If you come in too early or too late, you'll be penalised. And the base pit stop time, the minimum pit stop time as a base for everybody is 95 seconds. But depending on your rating as a driver and your driver pairing, and whether or not you're in the top 3 in race 1, you get additional time added on to that, which we'll explain as we get into it. But first, let's take a look then at the starting grid for race 2. And Julien Apostolos for the MX Motorsport team, the local team based in Berlin, starts on pole with Dani Soufi alongside Felipe Laza for the Fricadelli team, and Keanu Alazari for Mühlner Motorsport, the solo driver, are 3rd and 4th on the grid. Definitely ones to watch. Valentino Catalano, early doors championship leader for Gebhard Motorsport, and Jaime Guzman, the Mexican driver, are next up, lining in 5th and 6th positions. The next, Maxime Dirks, the Belgian driver for the Gebhard team, and Antti Ramo for the MRS GT Racing team, starting in 7th and 8th positions. Making their way then around this 3.478 kilometre long circuit. It's anti-clockwise in direction, which is relatively unusual as well. They use the tight, twisty infield section, which has lots of slow corners where you need good traction, good acceleration out of the turns. Lots of 2nd gear and 3rd gear corners, but of course the start and the end of the lap mighty quick because you use the banking and the tri-oval circuit. You come back onto it to a point as well coming out of turn 5. So it's a real mix of high-speed stuff, but also technical, twisty, challenging corners. So welcome along then to the Lausitzring. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm going to be talking you through this second race of the weekend. I can see out of the commentary box window, if I look across to my left into bright sunshine at the moment. It might not be like this for race 3 later on. There's a chance of rain this afternoon, but for now it is 22 degrees, bright sunshine, and I can see the cars just making their way through turn 11 behind the safety car in 2x2 formation, getting ready for the start of this race with Julien Apostolos and Dani Soufi, the Swiss and American drivers, sharing the front row of the grid. Apostolos getting pole position for this race by a healthy margin, 9/10 of a second. But today is a different day. The pole sitter to the right of your picture then, and the Conrad car of Dani Soufi alongside. And watch out for Felipe Laza as well in the red and white and green Fricadelli car just behind that pink machine as the race gets underway. They thunder over the line, and it is a very good start for Apostolos. Soufi is weaving around in the mirrors. He's got to keep an eye on his own mirrors because Felipe Laza has a look up the inside and tries to sneak through. That doesn't quite happen. The top 3 stay as they are. It's side by side as well for 4th. We've got a spinner further back, I'm afraid. That might be Jaime Guzman, and it is. He gets going again, but loses 4 or 5 seconds as a result of that. And they come now out of turn 5 and back onto the tri-oval banking with a pole sitter in the lead. Apostolos from Soufi, Laza in 3rd place. Alazari and Catalano were having a big old battle for 4th, and Catalano has come out on top. So Catalano has gained a place in the number 70 car, that bright red machine. Race winners and championship leaders after the first round of the championship. Alcazari tries to get the position back, but nothing doing yet. Really good start for Apostolos. He got it absolutely right. Dani Soufi went with him, but couldn't find a way through. They've both started to edge away from Felipe Laza. 4th place then is Catalano. 5th place, he's going to change because straight on goes Alcazari. The door pops open. He's gone straight on into the gravel, and it's got some smoke in the car. That's why he's deliberately pulled off the circuit. He wants to get out of that car ASAP because he can see smoke and a technical issue with the car, and that is a real shame for the Emirati driver after a fantastic performance yesterday to 4th place on his debut and setting the 1st and 2nd fastest laps of the race. But he's out of this one. He'll hope they get the car fixed because he's on pole position for race 3 later on today. So at the end of lap number 1, drama already. Apostolos leads Soufi in 2nd, Laza in 3rd, Catalano 4th. Ramo now moves up to 5th, and 6th place is Dirks. And there you can see the smoke getting worse and worse. Hopefully the marshals will be there with the fire extinguishers pretty soon, but that car in danger of catching fire. The driver absolutely fine and well away from it all. So he carries on now, and hopefully they'll get that car seen to in the not too distant future. Right, so at the end of the first lap of the race, nearly 9/10 of a second was the advantage. That looks like it might have come down. And in fact, 3rd is quickest through the first sector. Felipe Laza trying to get back on terms with the top 2. There he is. The Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. However, the safety car is going to be deployed, and everybody is going to bunch back up. Incident between cars 47 and 80 under investigation. Well, 47 was the AF2 Motorsport car of Jaime Guzman, which was in a spin, so they're looking at whether there's possible contact between that car and the number 80 car of Maxime Dirks, potentially. So safety car comes out, will bunch them all back up after just a lap and a half of racing. You can see the marshal post in the background there. After his excellent performance yesterday is Keanu Alcazari, who's also racing in Formula 3 this year, and in fact has had one round of the Spanish Formula 3 Championship, and is running in the top 3 in that championship, having had 2 podiums from the first 3 races at a Jarama recently. Also finished 3rd in the UAE Formula 4 Championship over the winter as well, with a couple of wins at the Yas Marina circuit. But is race 2 here in the Prototype Cup. Germany has ground to a halt. We get a look at a replay of the restart here, or the start of the race. We're under safety car conditions at the moment, so you're not missing anything. And this was how it looked on the rolling start as these V8 engines roared into life. A long run down towards turn 1, the heaviest braking zone on the lap. And there you can see Danny Soufi was weaving around, just trying to unsettle the pole sitter, Apothelos, on the way into turn 1. That's how it looked from the pit wall. A fantastic sound. Lazar had to think about going down the inside of Danny Soufi, and might be a slight bit of contact between them. And there's that replay of the contact that they're looking at, and the spin ultimately for the number 47 car of Jaime Guzman. Yeah, I think there was a bit of contact between 2nd and 3rd. Can't see from that angle whether he did get a tag or not in the 47 car. Yes, I think he probably did from that angle. So that's what they're looking at. So it was just on the left rear corner of the number 47 AF2 Motorsport car. Jaime Guzman getting a little clip, and this was the moment that pulling off the circuit, the door popping open, because he wanted to get out of there as soon as he could. The cockpit filling up with smoke on the number 21 Milner Motorsport car of Keanu Alcazari, and an early exit to the race, I'm afraid, for him. That's the reason the safety car has been deployed. You can see the marshals have been there with the fire extinguisher. The smoke and any chance of fire has been put out. Fire extinguisher makes a real mess inside a car, though, so if they've had to use it, it will take a lot of clearing up. We've got some time, though, because the 3rd race of the weekend not due to get underway until 4:40 p.m. this afternoon. It's just coming up to 10 past 11 in the morning here at the Lausitzring. So, while we've got a moment, let me just give you an idea of how it's going to work with the pit stops as a pensive Keanu Alcazari watches on after his terrific day yesterday. He'll be really hoping they get that car sorted out for a potential chance of a victory from pole position later on. But for the pit stops then, as I say, they have the 10-minute window where they all have to come in, and not everybody got that right yesterday. There was a penalty straight away for Sven Bart and Maxime Dirks as they came in just a few seconds early before the window opened. Everybody has a base time of 95 seconds. And as I say, depending on whether you are a gold, silver or bronze driver, and what the pairing is if you're 2 drivers, there's different combinations of different additional time added on. With gold drivers being the most experienced, in theory the quickest drivers, silver in the middle, and bronze more the AM-class drivers, if you like. So, for the race-leading car of Muka Motorsport, Riccardo Ciurelli and Julian Apothelos are both silver-rated drivers. That means they get an extra 20 seconds added on to their pit stop time, plus because they finished in the top 3 yesterday, there's also more additional time. So if you win a race, you get 7 seconds added on. If you finish in 2nd place, 4 seconds added on. And if you finish in 3rd place, you get 2 seconds added on. So that means the 20 seconds plus the extra 2 for their result in the previous race, they're going to have to stop for an additional 22 seconds above the base time. Whereas the car in 2nd place, the Conrad car of Danny Soufi and Torsten Kratz. Well, Torsten Kratz is a bronze-rated driver, so they have to stop for less additional time, 10 seconds additional, rather than the 20 of the race-leading car. They do get an extra 4 seconds on top of that for finishing 2nd yesterday. So all in all, the race leader will have to stop for an additional 22 seconds above the base time, only 14 seconds, 8 seconds less for the car in 2nd place. So as long as Danny Soufi can stay within 8 seconds of Julian Apothelos in the first part of the race, should be able to get the lead of the race and jump them during the pit stop. The car in 3rd place, Felipe Lassa and Klaus Abelin, that is a gold and bronze rated pairing. So the only gold rated driver in the championship this weekend is Felipe Lassa, the Nürburgring 24-hour race winner. The Spanish driver is gold rated. His teammate is Klaus Abelin, founder of the Fricadelli racing team. He's bronze-rated driver, and therefore their combination is that they get an extra 10 seconds in the pits above the base time. Nothing for finishing in the top 3 yesterday because they didn't. So effectively, Felipe Lazar is in an excellent position, especially as everybody's bunched together at the moment. Still plenty of time before the pit window opens. But the leaders have to stop for an additional 22 seconds, the car in second for an additional 14, and the car in third only for 10. So a real chance, without even overtaking them, to jump ahead of the 2 cars in front. The car in 4th place, the DEKRA Motorsport car, Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, they're both silver rated as well, so they get 20 seconds on top, but they've also got 7 seconds for winning the race yesterday. So of the top 4, they've got to stop for the longest. They've got to stop for 27 seconds. And then I give you Antti Ramo in 5th place. He's a bronze rated driver. He doesn't get any additional time added on to the pit stop and didn't finish in the top 3 yesterday, so no extra seconds. So effectively, he's behind Valentino Catalano in the race at the moment. Valentino Catalano and his teammate, Marcus Pommer, 27 seconds longer in the pits than Antti Ramo. So Antti proved to be a pretty rapid peddler yesterday, battling away, really entertaining battle he had with Keanu Al-Azari and with Riccardo Torelli. They battled for a long time in the first part of the race for 3rd position. That could be interesting to see what he can do here. I think a podium is definitely on the cards. And of course, the longer they all stay bunched up behind the safety car, the less chance those quicker, more experienced drivers have to get away from him. So Antti Ramo will be rubbing his hands with glee here. I don't think we're too far away from the restart because we've seen that the car is being moved away. However, Antti Ramo is under investigation for an incorrect grid position. We saw several 5-second penalties being applied yesterday for this. So too, the number 47 car of Jaime Guzman. So that's been looked at for incorrect grid position. They were in the wrong place, but whether they were lined up properly for the rolling start. And 3 teams fell foul of that yesterday and picked up 5-second penalties. So that's hanging over Antti Ramo at the moment, but nothing as yet. It's just being looked at. And there you can see the Mulder Motorsport car of Keanu Al-Azari has been towed to safety now, out of the gravel trap and out of the way, which hopefully means we'll be able to get back up to race speed in the not too distant future. Remember, the pit window opens after 22 minutes. So when there are 33 minutes left on the clock, that's when the pit window will open. I'm looking out of the window and the safety car lights are still on at the moment, which is the sign. They've just gone out, literally just gone out. So we are going to get the race back up to speed. The lights going out on top of the safety car, the signal to the drivers and to us that it's coming in on this lap. Race control confirming that with the on-screen graphic. So we're going to get back up to speed. Single file restart. It's up now to the race leader, Julian Apostolos, to control the pace here and pull the trigger, and nobody can overtake until you go past the start-finish line. Julian Apostolos from Switzerland leading the way for Muka Motorsport. Was second in last year's championship, but with a different co-driver, Oscar Tunko. Had 3 wins at Hockenheim, Oschersleben and Nürburgring. They didn't race here at the Lausitzring in 2023, but it was with a different team as well, Van Omen Racing. Here we go then. Julian Apostolos pulls the trigger, unleashes all of that horsepower and gets his head down on the way out of turn 12 to get this race back up to speed. Over the line they go. We're back onto green flag conditions, and that was the perfect restart from Julian Apostolos. He's given himself a 1 or 2 car length buffer on the way down into turn number 1. Through the right and the left sequence at turns 2 and 3 they go. Second place still Danny Sufi. Felipe Lazar just a little bit off them in 3rd. One to watch, I reckon, is Valentino Catalano in 4th place. And everybody safely through the remaining 7 cars. A 5-second time penalty is coming the way of number 47 for an incorrect grid position. I think for the 2nd time. I think it was one of the cars that got picked up yesterday. So Jaime Guzman has had a real up and down start to the race so far. Dipped into a spin and then a penalty. But of course, still on the back of the train now. That safety car did help out the Mexican driver. And onto the back of the race leader has gone Danny Sufi. The American has really closed in the gap. Antti Ramo is going to get a 5-second penalty as well for being out of position. So that's going to cost him. He's still got less time in the pits than everybody else, but it won't help that. And look at Felipe Lazar as well in the red and white and green Fricadelli team car. He is really bunched up to the 2 cars ahead of him as well. A drive-through penalty is coming the way of Maxime Dirks for causing a collision. That was the tag, and it wasn't a huge hit, but it was enough to send the 47 car of Jaime Guzman around into a spin on the original start. So that's going to really curtail the chances of Maxime Dirks and Sven Bart. They had issues yesterday with penalties as well. So into the corner they come. Big lock-up, I think, from the fourth place car just behind. Really locking up there was Valentino Catalano, just smoking the tyres just off camera. And then in fifth place, but with this penalty hanging over him, is Antti Ramo. 5 seconds to be added on to his time. Maxime Dirks has got a stop-go penalty. He's currently in sixth place. And this is going to be a replay, I reckon, of a lock-up. But yeah, there he goes, absolutely dragging that Michelin tyre across the tarmac, kicking and screaming. In the number 70 car was the 18-year-old Valentino Catalano. Just about got it slowed down in time to make the corner, but that won't have helped the tyres, and won't help the tyres either. Way out wide into the gravel trap with two wheels goes Danny Soufi in second place. He's seen that quite a lot this weekend coming out of turn 7. So easy to be a bit too keen to get on the accelerator and just understeer through to the gravel trap. Just couldn't get it turned in time and drifted out with two wheels spectacularly in slow motion going through the gravel trap. Not good for the tyres, not ideal for traction either, and definitely not ideal for Felipe Lazaro, who got a face full of gravel at the end of all of that. But Apostolos, who set the fastest lap of the race so far last time around, that's given him a bit of breathing space now, the race leader. So he goes through across the line, half a second clear. Incoming in to serve his stop-go penalty then is Maxime Dirks in the number 80 car, the Belgian driver, in his first weekend racing in the championship, the 20-year-old from Antwerp, who's coached by three-time Le Mans winner Marco Werner. Marco won Le Mans with Tom Christensen and JJ Leto in 2005, and then won it again in 2006 and 2007 with Frank Biella and Emanuele Pirro for Audi. So great coach to have, but just falling foul of that contact early on, as he'll be hoping for another safety car now to try and get back in the mix. That puts him back down to 7th place now as he rejoins, and he's still got to, of course, make a mandatory pit stop, as has everybody else. In about 7 minutes' time, that pit window will open. Meanwhile, down into the braking zone for the left-hander at turn 8 come the top 3. The gap was 0.8 of a second at the start of the lap between Apostolos and Soufi. Soufi was 7/10 clear of Lassa in 3rd. Catalano and Ramo 4th and 5th, but Ramo having that 5-second penalty. That's the way to get a tracking shot, isn't it? Absolutely flying along on the electric scooter there to get some tracking shots. Rather you than me. Hold tight, and hold tight through this corner here. The banking at turn 12, it's not hugely banked. It's only about 4 to 6 degrees, that banking, but they really do whip around there. They're already well over 150 kilometers an hour when they go into the corner, so by the time they come out of it, they're absolutely flying. Bit of a lock-up, bit of a smoky tyre situation for Danny Soufi in 2nd place, but nothing too dramatic. And on that lap, the race leader going through with the new fastest lap of the race, 122.026. However, it was only 22 thousandths of a second quicker than Danny Soufi. Felipe Lassa, however, was about 4/10 off them. So that's why the driver there in 3rd place has just dropped off their pace a little bit as he comes back off the tri-oval, turns left into turn 6. It's very slightly downhill there. It's relatively flat, non-undulating circuit this, but there are 1 or 2 areas where you get a little bit of inclination or go downhill. I think Danny Soufi might have got a bit wide again there when we come back to him. It definitely pushes hard, doesn't he, coming out of turn 7. So they can see the gaps from the leader to 2nd being pretty minimal, apart from 2 laps ago where he lost, by doing this previously, 0.2 of a second. Done it even more. That's from just a few seconds ago, and he was even deeper into the gravel trap that time around and hopped and skipped and bounced over the curbs. That would have been rattling his teeth for sure as he rode those curbs and got back onto the track. So pushing hard, just a bit ragged at the moment though through that corner for Danny Soufi. And the gap, I think, will open up, yeah, a little bit to 0.9 of a second. So another fastest lap of the race for the race leader. Apostolos into the 121s now, 121.988. A 10th quicker than Soufi. Soufi 0.2 quicker than Lassa. So Lassa, who very much held on to them for the first couple of laps of the restart, is just edging away now, just falling away behind them. But a reminder that the driver in 3rd has got to stop for less time than the 2 ahead of him as well. 10 seconds additional to the 95 minimum for Felipe Lassa. whereas Danny Sufi in second place, 14 seconds, 4 seconds longer, so he needs to stay within 4 seconds of the car in second place, which he's doing at the moment, 1.2 behind him, and the car in the lead of the race has to stop for 22 seconds. So as long as the Fricadelli car in third place remains within 12 seconds of the race leader, he should be able to get back out of the pits in front of the race leader. And so we'll have a very different looking second half of the race. What Apostolos definitely does not want now is another safety car, and for them all to be back on his rear wing. Less than 4 minutes away from the 10-minute pit window opening up, then the top three have left everybody else behind. Catalano struggling to keep their pace there in fourth place. He's lapping in the mid-122s. He's around about 6 or 7 tenths of a second off the leader's pace as it stands. And in fourth place, that's the car that's got to stop for longest. 27 seconds additional time, thanks to the extra 7 seconds for their win yesterday for Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano. Great shot then as the cars make their way out of turn 5, very close to that concrete wall, and then turn back off the tri-oval. It's a short burst of speed before you slow it down again and go into this left-hander through into turn 6, almost an S-bend section, although turn 7's almost a hairpin. It comes back on itself, but it's a very long corner, that one. Quite quickly taken. Back down the straight, little bit of a downhill run, descent then into turn 8, and it really tightens up at the end of the lap. The next corner, turn 9, flat out, no problems with these cars with all their aerodynamics, the big rear wings on them as well. But these last two corners here, turns 10, the right-hander, and 11, the left-hander, the two slowest corners on the lap. You can see Catalano and Ramo have got about 2.5 seconds between them as well. It's the car in fourth place you're looking at, Valentino Catalano, ready to hand over to former German Formula 3 champion and former Formula 2 racer Marcus Pommer, who got 4 race wins on his way to the championship title last year. It's the third season of the Prototype Cup in Germany. We've also got Torsten Kratz to get into the Conrad car, the turquoise and black car running in second place, and he was second in the championship in its first season in 2022. So, although he's only a bronze-rated driver, he's a driver with good experience. There is Antti Ramo, the Estonian driver. Excellent job yesterday, 5th place in the end, but it was another driver that picked up a penalty for a pit stop. Finished 12th in the Italian TCR Touring Car Series a couple of years ago. Did only selected races in that championship last year. A lot of karting experience in the Rapid KZ2 category, and on 4 or 5 occasions finished in the top 3 in the National Estonian Karting Championships. He was a runner-up back in 2008 in Rotax Max 125cc karting as well. So did a bit of Formula Renault in Finland around about 14 years ago in 2010. There you are, looking at the third place car though of Felipe Lassa, and just falling away, just can't keep on terms with the top 2. We've got a new fastest lap of the race last time around though for the driver that he's falling away from. Danny Sufi, the American in second place, was with just over 2 tenths quicker than the race leader last time around. However, Apostolos responds with the new fastest lap of the race, 121.525. Smoking the tyres again into turn 1 is Danny Sufi. He's also quick again, 121.625, but exactly a tenth slower than the race leader. So all the time he made up on the previous lap goes away again, and the gap remains at just under a second between the top 2. But that is no problem really for the Conrad Motorsport driver in second place, because he's going to gain 8 seconds effectively with a shorter pit stop time penalty for the driver pairing in second place. So in a good position here for sure. Antti Ramo is 11.6 seconds behind. Still got a chance of popping up into the podium positions, maybe even briefly into the race lead, depending on when the pits happen. They're going to happen soon because the pit window is now coming up to open in 6 seconds time. So they'll have a period of around about 8 laps where they can come in and make a move. Oh, here's a move, a daring one from Maxim Dirks. It's good. On the brakes he goes, through he goes, and into turn 6 they're still side by side. Into turn 7 they're still side by side, but with the inside line now, the number 80 car gets through, having dropped down to 7th place after having that drive-through penalty, overtaking the car which he had the issue with in turn 1, which is why he got the penalty in the first place. And Jaime Guzman tries to feign a move on the way into the left-hander at turn 8 to try and get the place back, but nothing doing. So nicely executed move that from the young man from Antwerp. The Gebhard Motorsport car, number 80, one of the 2 Gebhard cars. The other one is the number 70 car. Gaining a place, that puts him up into 6th position then. The Gebhard team, founded by the brothers Gunther and Fritz Gebhard, originally set up to run Gunther when he was racing in his single-seater days in Formula 2 and Formula 3. There's a replay of the move. Very good move under braking from Maxim. Gets through. He's come up from karting this year, so this is all new to him. It's a huge learning curve, but very good move that. Bit like a karting move, just threw it down the inside, made it stick, made sure it got the line for the next turn. So excellent move that for 6th place. Pit window open for another 8 3/4 minutes. You're going to leave it as late as possible if things are going well. If you're a Julian Apostolos or a Danny Sufi, I would have thought. Felipe Lasso, I would imagine he's going to stay out a bit longer as well, because these are generally the slightly quicker drivers in the driver pairings that have started this race. Apostolos and Riccardo Cirelli. Well, Apostolos is more experienced. Cirelli, though, certainly proved to be very rapid yesterday, so that's not going to be an issue when he gets into the car. And then Danny Sufi will be replaced by former championship runner-up Torsten Kratz, although he is a bronze-rated driver, so not as quick as Apostolos. And then Felipe Laza will hand over to Klaus Abelen, who's got lots of experience as a GT racer, of course, and a team founder and team owner, but Felipe Laza is the quicker of the 2 drivers, but they're going to have less time in the pits to try and stay as close as he can to the 2 ahead of him to give his teammate a chance to fend them off. But the first to come in to make a pit stop looks like it's going to be Jaime Guzman. You see Torsten Kratz is ready to go. They'll all be ready to go. And then he's going to take over from Danny Sufi, but it's the 47 AF2 Motorsport car that comes in first. The American driver Robert Doyle is going to take over. It's a Spanish team, this. They made their prototype cup debut in 2023 with a guest driver at the Zandvoort round. Robert Doyle drove for them in that last year alongside Wolfgang Kaufmann. So the seat comes out because drivers are different heights, different sizes. They have the seats completely moulded to them. They've got this minimum 95 seconds, and there'll be no additional time for the AF2 Motorsport squad because they're a bronze pairing. They're Peter Muka, the legendary figure behind the BWT Muka Motorsport team, based in Berlin, which is the home circuit. It's still about an hour away by car, about 150 kilometres, 160 kilometres to Berlin from here, but this they will call their home track. They've done so much testing and racing here over the years. Lots of success in single-seaters. Run a few stars in the past as well. Sebastian Vettel was a driver for the team in the Formula BMW days. Right, first of our leaders to come in from 4th place is Valentino Catalano to hand over to Marcus Pommer then, but 27 seconds additional time on top of the 95 seconds for them to make their pit stop. The graphic top left of your corner is the countdown for them, so they want to get as close to 0 as they can. But not before it, otherwise they'll get a penalty, even if it's by 0.0001 of a second. If they undercut their minimum time, then they will be penalised. And the time begins when you cross the line coming into the pit lane entry, and when you leave the pit lane exit line. It's not the time that you're stationary in the pits. So this is a longer pit stop than it should be by the looks of it for the first car that came in of Jaime Guzman and Robert Doyle. We've gone well over there at minimum time, as you can see from the plus figure that's shown there. Race leader comes through. Danny Sufi has stayed out in 2nd place as well. I'd imagine Felipe Laza has stayed out. Yes, he has. The gap from 1st to 3rd as they come through is going to be 4.7 seconds. Another lock-up from Danny Sufi. The 47 AF2 Motorsport car is released, but lost a lot of time, 46 seconds compared to its minimum pit stop time there. Robert Doyle goes out now, the American driver, for his 2nd stint in a race this weekend. The 47 car released back out, with Catalano making a pit stop. That's put Antti Ramo into 4th place for the time being. And then released out now is Catalano's teammate, Marcus Pommer. They were in the pits a little bit longer than they wanted to, but it's not bad. 2.4 seconds longer than their minimum pit stop time, so could have been a bit tighter, but not too bad. So you want to get right down as close as you can, but never undercutting it. And get within a second, that's ideal, really. There's the number 80 car in for DEKRA Motorsport. They get an extra 20 seconds on top of their minimum time because they're both silver-rated drivers. And it is now Sven Bart that's going to get in. Sven Bart with lots of GT experience. He was one of the stars of the ADAC GT Masters Championship for a long time, racing in predominantly a Corvette. He was the trophy class champion in 2019 and raced against the likes of current DTM stars Kelvin van der Linde, who won the championship that year in 2019. Mirko Bortolotti, Christian Engelhardt was second in the championship. They're racing in the DTM this weekend. And Ricardo Feller was the runner-up in the junior category in the ADAC GT Masters Championship in 2019, 5 years ago, when the driver that's just got into this car, Sven Bart, was busy winning the trophy category. Started out in single-seaters in his junior career more than 20 years ago, racing in things like the Formula Volkswagen Germany Championship. Right, only 3 3/4 minutes to go. I suspect these three cars are going to push it another lap at least before they come in and hand over the reins to their co-drivers. But 95 seconds, 1 minute and 35 seconds as a base time, plus the additional time that these three have all got, is more than a lap. It's 1 minute and 21, 1 minute and 22 seconds to get around a lap. For now, Sufi is within 3 seconds of the race-leading car and should be able to stop for 8 seconds less. Oh, car 47 under investigation for the pit stop, and in comes the second-place car, Danny Sufi. So, whoa, gets the tail end wagging there. Still can carry on at speed here. It's the white line there where you have to slow the car down and achieve the minimum speed in the pit lane for safety. But you can attack the pit lane entry, as he was definitely doing there, as you saw. It was quite spectacular from Danny Sufi, keen to get in and out as quickly as he can. There's no refueling of the pit stops, no tyre changes, and a maximum of 3 people can work on the car. Maximum of 1 air gun as well. So out of the car gets Danny Sufi. Charging drive from him yesterday, pushing hard again today, as we saw, particularly at turn 7. In gets Torsten Kratz. And on top of the 95 seconds, they get an extra 14 seconds. 10 seconds for being a silver-bronze pairing, 4 seconds for finishing yesterday's race in second place. So another 62 seconds before they're out there. Antti Ramo has come in as well. Now, of course, he was a long way behind this pair, but Antti Ramo, solo driver, doesn't get any additional time as a bronze-rated driver. I'm getting a replay of... Ooh, that was a bit tight, wasn't it? So that's the 80 car of Sven Bart coming out and unsettling the Fricadelli car. Just stole its racing line, and the Fricadelli car of Felipe Lassa had to take evasive action onto the grass, losing valuable seconds. In comes the race leader then. So I think it was rather the exit from the pits, or was it just the pit stop they're looking at for the 80 team? They don't want another penalty, that's for sure. Right, Julia Potolos comes in. Sufi and Ramo. Sufi's going to get out first, pick up the lead of the race, but should get the overall lead of the race once things settle down. Should do, because this car, with a minimum pit stop time that is 8 seconds longer than the number 2 Conrad car, driven initially by Danny Sufi. Torsten Kratz has now got aboard and is back out onto the circuit. And in as well as the Fricadelli car, Felipe Lassa handing over to Klaus Abelin. So those 2 cars in, pit window into the final minute now, but that's everybody in. Everybody's made their stops now, so nobody's leaving it as too late, which was the case yesterday. As one of our drivers just coming in a couple of seconds too late, and just a chance to settle, get ready and think about things. So it should be that the number 2 Conrad car picks up the lead of the race. It's just going into turn 8 at the moment, so it's about 2/3 of the way around the lap. This car with a longer pit stop being overseen by the officials to make sure it's all done correctly. Not too many people working in the car. No tyre changes, just looking at tyre pressures at the moment because the track is warming up considerably. Right, the number 2 car just about to come into the final turn and should get through fairly comfortably. Pit window now closed, and should get into turn 1 before that Muka Motorsport car is released. Riccardo Chiarelli going down the pit lane, and there to the left of your picture is the Conrad car, and it's going to just about do it, is it? Yep, through it will come, ahead of that car. But the Fricadelli car is ahead of both of them because that had less time in the pits than the pair of them with a bronze gold driver rating. However, Klaus Abelin, with the best wood in the world, is not likely to be as quick as Torsten Kratz or Riccardo Cirelli. And already for the lead of the race, effectively, this is the move on the way into the left-hander at turn 6. Down the inside goes Torsten Kratz. Nicely done. Klaus Abelin straight away down to second place, and he'll have to deal with fairly rapidly, I reckon. Riccardo Cirelli, the Italian, will come after him, and then it'll be a straight fight between the Conrad car and the Muka Motorsport car. The Muka Motorsport car, I mean, given away 8 seconds during the pit stops due to the additional pit stop time, as we get a replay of that move. Absolutely beautifully executed by Torsten Kratz. Textbook manoeuvre, that. Late on the brakes, found the line, but didn't overdo it, didn't brake too deep into the corner. There's the legendary Franz Conrad, always active, always involved in the Conrad Motorsport team, which he founded, of course, back in the mid-1970s. Here we go. This is going to be the challenge for second place. Riccardo Cirelli, he's already on the case of Klaus Abelin and has got the inside line. And Antti Ramo is coming in the background as well. Drive-through, penalty and pit stop, though, for 2 cars, cars 47 and 80. There's the move down the inside for second place for Cirelli. He needed to get through as soon as he possibly could. He's already about 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds down on the race leader. But actually not as far back as they might have been. They gave 8 seconds away to the Conrad crew in the pit stops on penalties, and therefore they're only about half as far back as they should have been. Must have been some good in-laps and good out-laps from that team. They must have got closer to their minimum time than the current race leaders, so it's all worked out fairly favourably for them. But will he be able to catch Kratz? Given yesterday's performance, I think Cirelli's got a good chance. Meanwhile, we're going to watch this battle between Antti Ramo, who's skipping and hopping and bouncing, coming out of the right-hander at turn 7. Bit bumpy on the run down into turn 8 as well. There's lots of bumps on this circuit. Rattles the cars around and certainly rattles the drivers around. They're only sat a few centimetres off the ground. Get a replay here. Antti Ramo on the very limits of adhesion and a little bit more as he, Daddy Sufi like, puts a couple of wheels through the gravel trap, and then there's that big gap, isn't there, between the curb and the track. If you go over that, you're thrown up into the air. And this is a replay of the move that we saw for second place. Riccardo Cirelli getting his run nailed coming out of turn 12, and that gave him the inside line down into turn 1 at the start of the previous lap to go through. And it was all smiles from his teammate Julian Apostolos. Big thumbs up from him. Right, drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane for Antti Ramo. So he's just dived into the pits from 4th place. So Klaus Abelin given a respite here, 3rd place for him at the moment. We've seen the drive-through penalties as well coming for number 47, the AF2 Motorsport car, and also for number 80, Gebhard Motorsports. That'll be their 3rd pit stop for the Gebhard number 80 pairing of Sven Bart and Maxime Dirks as well. Been too long in the pits in this race, frustrating for them. So now you can see visually the gap from 1st to 2nd, and it is less than 4 seconds, and there's still 19 minutes plus 1 lap left in this race. Next one to keep an eye on is that one in the background, the 3rd car in your picture of Marcus Pommer. He's got to try and catch up now to Klaus Abelin. This car is 2 laps down the number 80 machine, running in 6th place for Sven Bart. So Klaus Abelin's last lap time in the number 30 Fricadelli car was a 1:26.4, but Marcus Pommer did a 1:21.5, so 5 seconds a lap quicker. So it won't be long, 2 or 3 laps before he's challenging for that 3rd place, Marcus Pommer. Klaus Abelin, whose partner was the late great Sabine Schmitz, the queen of the Nordschleife, and they set up this team together. Klaus, great to have him, a legendary figure. It's Fricadelli company, make fricadellas, and often have fricadellas on the livery of their cars, and they were actually the team that took victory at the Nürburgring 24-hour race last year. Great success in 24-hour racing for the Fricadelli racing team. So Felipe Lazza, who took that victory as one of the drivers alongside El Bamba, 2-time Le Mans winner, and he was also joined by Nicky Katzberg and Daniel Pittard. It was a great driver lineup to take the victory. And disposed of that lapped car now, Sven Bart. You can see the red and black machine, though, of ADAC Motorsport and Markus Pommer, the German driver, hunting down Klaus Abelin. He's got the gap down to less than 5 seconds. He's been about 5 seconds a lap quicker, so next lap, I think, he'll do it. He's absolutely easing into the advantage. This is the battle for third place. There you can see he was 4.8 seconds quicker 2 laps ago, 5.6 seconds quicker last time around. He's had a bit of traffic to deal with, but that was easy work. He's flashing the lights and saying, "Hello, Klaus, please can you let me through? I want to see if I can catch the top 2." Flashing the lights. Klaus has not got to give way, though. This is for position. He'll see the car weaving around in the mirrors. He's not going to give up the place yet, so he holds on to third for the time being with 17 minutes to go. But you feel like it's just a matter of time. Markus Pommer is that much quicker. It's hard to find a way past here. He might have to wait until he gets back out onto the banking at turn 5 and then have a luck down into turn 6, I reckon, because it's just single file through here, through turns 2, 3 and 4, out through turn 5. And this is the chance for Markus Pommer. Gets on the gas, puts the traction down, finds the inside line. Klaus Abelin makes it hard, squeezes in, but Pommer is through and into third place. It sends him a bit deep into the corner, but that's okay because it's a right-hander coming up, and Pommer is through and into third place. So what's the gap from first to second? That's down as well, 2.7 seconds. Last lap was a 1:21.598 for Cirelli. So he's absolutely flying. He's got the bit between his teeth here, looking to get a race victory, a first one, in his first weekend in the championship if he can. Replay then of this move for third place. Abelin made it awkward for him, but he found a way through. So Riccardo Cirelli on a charge in second place. This is his first season in car racing. He's only 16 years of age. He's been racing internationally in things like the WSK Champions Cup, first as a junior, then as a senior driver, but only recently runner-up in the Ayrton Senna Trophy in the X30 category in 2022. He's been a top 3 finisher in the Italian karting championships, and there he is, Riccardo Cirelli, flying along in that pink Muga Motorsport car, trying to get a race victory here. 2.3 seconds is now the gap, and he's a silver-rated driver, even though he's got much less experience in these types of cars than Torsten Kratz, the bronze-rated driver. Incidentally, the younger drivers also fight for the junior championship trophy. Nobody fights for the overall championship points, but there's a separate category for the juniors and for the AM drivers for the trophy category. So yesterday, Danny Sufi was the best placed junior, so picked up with the multipliers that they have, depending on the ratings of the drivers, picked up 30 points, a 5-point lead in that category. Just lapping now the number 47 car of Robert Dorn. You can see visually that gap has come right down. So this is going to be a very tasty final 15 minutes of the race. 1.2 seconds is now the gap, and he's much, much quicker. So 1:21.7 versus a 1:22.8. Cirelli 1.1 seconds quicker than Torsten Kratz last time through, and he's got loads of time to hunt him down and pick off the move. What about Markus Pommer in third place? He's quicker than both of them, but he's not that much quicker than Cirelli. 1:21.395, and he's 16 seconds back, thanks to all that time that to serve in the pits. 27 seconds, 20 for their silver rating and 7 for winning the race yesterday. Watching on, Franz Conrad, Julian Apostolos watching on as well. Did a great job at the start of the race. And he would have been worried about that safety car losing him some laps to extend his advantage, but they really didn't lose as much time as they might have during that pit stop phase. They did a good job as a team. The drivers did a good job. And now we've got Cirelli hunting down the race leader here. He's within a second of him. And on the next lap, it's going to be absolutely nose to tail. They're just about to make their way through the banking again, through turn 12. Good on the acceleration here for Torsten Kratz. Unleash 455 brake horsepower each and thunder up to well over 250 kilometers an hour. Hit the brakes. The battle for first in these LMP3 class cars is very much on now. The gap less than half a second as they cross the line. They go right then left through turns 2 and 3. No chance to overtake here. Could do with being a bit closer if he wants to have a look into turn 6, I would say. So Cirelli, I don't think he's going to be able to have a lunge here. He'll get close though, but a good job so far from Torsten Kratz. He's working hard here to keep the youngster behind him. They make their way into turn 6. The gap comes down a bit more by another couple of tenths of a second. But again, hard to overtake here. There's maybe a chance into the next corner, turn 8, particularly if the driver ahead of you runs too wide through the gravel. That was right on the limits, but not beyond it for Torsten Kratz. Absolutely perfectly done by the driver in the lead of the race. He's a bit stressed. He's seen this all before for 4 decades, but he still gets stressed, Franz Conrad. And they are enjoying it down in the garage. We've got a battle for the lead of the race in our hands, and Torsten Kratz, he's digging his heels in here. He's making life difficult for Riccardo Cirelli. Peter Bucher watches on with a wry smile on his face as well. The two legendary team owners going to battle with their charges here. Torsten Kratz has held him off for a lap at least, and the clock continues to tick down, but he's closer than he's ever been. He's flashing the lights to try and unnerve the race leader. They go underneath the commentary box with about a length between them into the braking zone. He's fended him off again. 0.3 of a second as they cross the line, but it's next to nothing when they get to turn 1. Big chance really is into turn 1 and probably turn 6, a half chance into turn 8, but it's not full of overtaking opportunities here, and he'll be ticking them off. And the longer it goes on, in a sense, the easier it becomes for the driver in the lead of the race, because he knows exactly where Cirelli is going to be quicker than him and exactly where he needs to defend, where he needs to cover off. And he's done a perfect job so far, Torsten Kratz, you have to say. 14 seconds behind them is Marcus Pommer in 3rd place, and if these two getting into a battle, you never know, you might be able to catch them up. 121.3 last time. He was nearly a second quicker than this battle, because Cirelli has been brought down now to the pace of Kratz. So you won't see him yet, but if they fight each other for another 2 or 3 laps, you might just see that number 70 machine looming in the background. And you can see Danny Sufi to the left of the picture, Franz Conrad to the right of the picture, watching on this intense battle. I tell you what though, Torsten Kratz again gets a good run out of turn 12. He's given himself a bit of breathing space. He might close up, but he's not going to be right with him as they cross the line. So is he going to be too far back to have a lunge down the inside? Maybe. It looks, he closes it up, but Cirelli stays where he is for the time being. Fantastic effort though, a full season in 2022 in these cars for Torsten Kratz, and he's using that experience against a driver that has just come out of kart racing and straight up into a V8 5.6 litre engine powered LMP3 class car. Fantastic stuff from these two. Torsten Kratz in the Ligier leading the way, covering off the line, goes a little bit deep into the corner, but it's okay again because you go from a left to a right, and he fends it off and he holds station once more. He's driving absolutely beautifully in the DEKRA behind in 2nd place. Different chassis on that car. Flashing the headlights once again. Trying to unnerve the race leader is Riccardo Cirelli, throwing everything at this, but he also knows he's got time. He hasn't got to take his very first opportunity. He's still got 9.5 minutes plus 1 lap to try and find a way through. But this now becomes a high-speed game of chess and strategy. Each driver trying to anticipate the move of the other, trying to outthink them, trying to force them into a mistake by applying pressure, by inviting maybe the move if you're the race leader, and for the driver behind to try something that's not really on and outbrake themselves. Nose to tail over the line they go. Still nobody in the background, but they will start to see very soon, just in the distance, that number 70 car of championship leader Marcus Pommer. Through they come. He's covered off turn 1 once again, so that is hugely helpful. 25 points available for a race win, 20 for second, and we're going to get, looks like, 2 different winners from 2 races. The winning pair from yesterday currently running back in 3rd position. All right, more traffic. It's Robert Doyle again. This could be a factor. Just make sure he squeezes around the outside here, Cirelli, which he does. He doesn't give him the ideal line through turn 7, but he survives. Doyle did well there to just stay on his racing line and not do anything erratic. But it did cost a little bit of time there to Cirelli. You can see he's dropped about a couple of tenths of a second there. So there'll definitely be some respite coming out onto the banking for the race leader this time. More like half a second his advantage. The 2 team bosses with all of those decades of years of experience behind watch on, still massive enthusiasts of racing. They love a good race, and they've got one on their hands here. Conrad Motorsport lead the way. Torsten Kratz going over the line. It's going to be about half a second clear, I think, as they go through the timing beam. It was 3/10. It becomes a second, actually, just over a second. He's a bit twitchy under braking, though. Just about slows the car down in time. Cirelli will now come back at him. But, yeah, he lost 7/10 of a second on that lap, as you can see. And I think most of that was through turn 7 when he was on an awkward line trying to go around the outside of the back marker, the 47 car of Robert Doyle. Out of turn 5 they come, 7 minutes 20 seconds on the clock, so he's pretty much soaked up half the time. It was about 14 minutes to go, wasn't there, when he was joined by Cirelli, and Torsten Kratz could tick off another lap, I think, here by the sounds of it, but I think he's winding it back in through the first sector. Well, he wasn't much quicker. He was quicker, but he was only 12 thousandths of a second quicker, Cirelli, through the first sector. So Torsten Kratz has upped his game through the second sector. Torsten Kratz is actually a little bit quicker, 2 thousandths quicker than Cirelli. So overall, Cirelli's only made up 10 thousandths of a second through the first 2/3 of the lap. Looks good here, though, doesn't it? Through the slower corners, through turns 10 and 11. But it's always a good exit from turn 11 and through turn 12 for the race lead. There's more traffic potentially ahead. That's Sven Bart just going into turn 1 in the number 80 car in 6th place. Right, here they come over the line. Has the gap come down at all? Maybe. Yes, back down to 7/10 of a second. But all of that really was in that last sector. First 2/3 of the lap, Kratz was equal to Cirelli. But Cirelli has now got his groove on, and he can sense that he's got the momentum. He's closing back up to Kratz, but catching him and passing him, as we've already seen, there might be two very different stories, two different challenges, because Kratz has not put a wheel wrong so far. He's been driving absolutely beautifully. Finished second yesterday with the 20 points that he scored, added to 25 for today, 45 points. He would move into the championship lead. Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano are on course for 16 points at the moment, which would put them on 41, 4 points adrift. And Cirelli and Apostolos, this would be a second place to add to the third as it stands, so they would go from 16 points to 36 points. So you'd only have 9 points between the three of them, but as it stands, if they can win the race, Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi, early doors, only 2 races in, but they'd move into the championship lead. Here they come then. Are they going to catch Sven Bart between now and the end of the race? Well, Sven Bart's lap time is looking like he did a 1:24 last time around. They're doing 1:21s. Maybe. But right at the end of the race, that could be interesting. Gap still 7/10 of a second as they cross the line. This is excellent stuff from Torsten Kratz. He's doing a terrific job of soaking up the pressure, even when young Cirelli has been right behind him. He seemed to be pretty comfortably soaking it all up. Torsten Kratz goes thundering towards turn 6. A long way back, but still showing his nose just to try and unnerve him, just to try and catch the eye in the mirror is Cirelli. Torsten Kratz, who this year has already been on the podium with the Conrad Motorsport team, but in a Lamborghini Huracan in the Nürburgring Endurance Series. Third in the LMP3 category last year in the European Le Mans Series. So he's an experienced driver in these cars. As I say, runner-up in this championship with 2 wins in 2022, but pushing it a bit hard again, coming out through turn 7. It's been a bit loose, that car, through that turn on a couple of occasions, first with Danny Sufi and then with Torsten Kratz, but it is all about pushing it right to the limits, and he's having to push it to 100% to keep Cirelli behind him, and he's doing a beautiful job at the moment, Torsten Kratz. So the German driver ticks off another lap. 3 minutes, 38 seconds to go, plus 1 lap. Can Cirelli do anything? Well, he's within half a second now as they go to turn 1. As close as he's been for a number of laps. You can see that back marker getting a bit closer ahead as well. As the race leader, you'll think that's going to be a potential problem. As the driver in second, you'll think that's a potential opportunity. Out of turn 5 they come. Torsten Kratz lets it drift out towards the concrete walls. He gets on the power as quickly as he can. I look out the window, I see the gap come down by half a length under braking on the way into turn 6. A bit bumpy through there as well on the surface of the road. Slightly downhill then to the right-hander at turn 7 they go once more. Sven Bart is just now going into turn 8. I think they will catch him, and it might be on the last lap of the race. So, an opportunity maybe here for Cirelli to find the way through, to get into the lead of the race and turn 20 points into 25. A 10-point swing as well could be vital, even though it's early doors of the championship. Right, into turn 10, and then the left at turn 11 they go. Very slightly uphill, and then unleash the power as you go oh so close to the concrete wall. Step on the gas and let it drift through turn 12. But Kratz is excellent there. That Conrad car is beautifully set up to come out of that corner, and that's key really, because the best opportunity on the lap is into turn 1, and as long as he keeps giving himself some breathing space, by the time he gets there, Cirelli has been too far back. Oh, they're coming up first to lap the number 47 car, Robert Doyle. Cirelli won't be happy about that. That caused him an issue a few laps ago. Round the outside goes the leader. No issues this time for Cirelli. And they've got Sven Bart that they're going to catch up as well. Look at this. Turning right to go left here for Cirelli. Riccardo Cirelli pushing absolutely rapidly, getting a bit of understeer. The Michelin tyres have been through a fair old... been through the rack a fair old bit in this race. You normally get 3 sets of tyres to last for the qualifyings and the races, but I think I'm right in saying it'll be up to 4 for this one. You get 4 in your first event of the season, but because they've got the extra race this weekend, I think they'll have the extra set of Michelins, but they're being made to work hard, those tyres, particularly for these two. How far back is Marcus Pommer? He's creeping up towards them, but he's going to run out of time, I think. He's only 8.9 seconds behind the leader now. I think he was 14 or 15 seconds behind. You can just see him there in the background coming through shot. So if the race was 10 minutes longer and these two kept fighting each other, I think there'd be a decent chance that Marcus Pommer could catch them up as well. And I think he's probably going to run out of time. We're into the final minute. So the clock will run out to 0 on the next lap, and then it'll be +1 lap. So we've got 2 laps to go. 2 laps for Torsten Kratz and Conrad Motorsport to hang on to this. Into turn 1 they go. How far ahead is the back mark? Is less than a corner ahead now is Sven Bart. So I think it's probably going to be on the last lap that they catch him somewhere. Could be an issue for the race leader. And sensing that, and sensing that time is running out with less than 2 laps to go now, Cirelli closes the gap as they go back onto the banking through sector 1 and hit the brakes and turn left through turn 6. Sven Bart just ahead. They're reeling him in. The back marker. These are your 2 leaders with a lap and a half to go now. Can Cirelli have 1 chance? It's all he needs. 1 chance somewhere. Torsten Kratz knows he's really just got to keep him behind at turn 1 for another lap, and then probably cover him off at turn 6 as well, and then he'll probably be there. If he can get through the first half of the last lap of the race, he should be okay. But this is stressful for everyone involved. Cirelli doing absolutely everything here to keep the pressure up, and he needs to be as close as he can just in case the race leader does get delayed even by 1/10 of a second by Sven Bart. There is Sven Bart coming through shot now. There is your race leader about to start the final lap of the race here. It's been another thriller at the Lausitzring in the Prototype Cup Germany. It's almost nose to tail now as we start the final lap of the race. The blue flags wave, a signal for Sven Bart that he needs to get out of the way because the leaders are coming, and they're coming up to him fast on this final lap of the race. The gap is down to just under 0.4 of a second as they went across the start-finish line. It's now down to nothing lap because he's caught him up, and his chances are running out though. About to come out of turn 5. It might be one last chance into turn 6. I'm not sure he's close enough though, Cirelli. He closes, but covering off the line here is Kratz. It's just about not making a mistake now for the race leader, but he's under huge pressure. A little bit bumpy, a little bit wide on the exit to turn 6 for Cirelli as he tries everything. He throws the kitchen sink at the race leader. Pottelos thinks we've done this now, have we? We've done it, or maybe not. So Danny Sufi says. Pottelos says maybe not. Maybe we're going to run out of time, but I think Danny Sufi knew as he clapped his hands that once you got through turn 6 and 7, you'd probably be all right. And you're probably going to be a winner here with Torsten Kratz, because Torsten has been mighty through turn 12 every time so far. You've got 2 corners to go, Torsten. Don't make a mistake. You go right, you go left, and now you get on the gas and you wind it up, you avoid the wall, and you focus all of your attention on the checkered flag, and he's going to do it. This is going to be a victory, and a brilliant victory from Torsten Kratz, Danny Sufi, and the Conrad Motorsport team, who take the checkered flag after 55 minutes and a lap of pure pure adrenaline. They celebrate at Conrad Motorsport. Peter Muka nods his head, acknowledges that that was a great fight. But Muka losing out in their home race on this occasion. And this was the moment, really, the last run into turn 6. Last half a chance, just losing the back end a little bit there, just stepping out for Cirelli, but he had to try something to try and find a way through. And Franz Conrad puts his hand on the heart of Danny Soufi and feels the heart rate, feels the pulse rate. Danny Soufi chilled out though. What a drive by Torsten Kratz, a bronze-rated driver. But I tell you what, Riccardo Cirelli is also a star, isn't he? This is only his second car race, and he very nearly was a race winner. But in the end, experience paid off. Terrific effort by the team then. The Ligier of Conrad Motorsport, Torsten Kratz and Danny Soufi are victorious. Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apostolos come home in second place. Another podium for them. Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, winners of race 1. They're only 5.3 seconds adrift in the end, so would have liked another 5 minutes in that race, wouldn't they? Antti Rameau comes home in 4th place to add to the 5th he got yesterday. Klaus Abelin and Felipe Lassa come home in 5th. Sven Bart and Maxime Dirks come home to round out the top 6, with 7th place going to Robert Doyle and Jaime Guzman, and unfortunately a non-finish after that car issue for Keanu Alazari. Hopefully they'll get that fixed for his chance from pole position this afternoon from race 3. Great race then for the Prototype Cup Germany. Thoroughly enjoyable. Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, though, as a result of coming home in 3rd place, for now at least, will lose the championship lead. They'll move on to 41 points. Cirelli and Apostolos were 3rd yesterday, 2nd today, so they'll move on to 36 points as well. And for the victory today, 25 points coming the way of Torsten Kratz and Danny Soufi. That's the 2nd place from yesterday. It should give them the championship lead there, as you see, by 4 points, with 36 points for the team in 3rd position, but a long way to go yet in this 12-round championship. So a thoroughly entertaining Prototype Cup Germany race. A big cheer as the Conrad car comes in. Oh, easy does it. Nearly squeezed into the Gebhardt car there. It's going to be tight getting out of that gap now, but he won't care because Torsten Kratz has just driven brilliantly for 15, 16 minutes of huge pressure coming from Riccardo Cirelli. He managed to soak it all up. He did not put a wheel wrong and drove beautifully. Great drive, great effort. So 2nd and a win. Great start to the campaign for them. Torsten Kratz clenches his fist as he gets out of the car. He is absolutely delighted with that. What an effort, though, from Riccardo Cirelli. Really brave stuff from him. Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalana come home in 3rd place. And then a hug between the two drivers. Danny Soufi puts his arms around his teammate. His teammate gets himself up onto the roof of the car. Franz Conrad, always with a smile on his face, encourages this misbehaviour. And both of them make it up onto the top step of the car, if you like. What a great photo opportunity. Well done. Torsten Kratz, Danny Soufi, fantastic driver pairing. They're going to be in the real hunt for this championship title. It's a quality field that we've got from the Prototype Cup Germany. And Torsten Kratz gets more hugs. Well, you know you've done a good job if somebody as experienced and knowledgeable as the team boss congratulates you like that and gives you a big hug. And there is Riccardo Cirelli in the background. Terrific drive. He's got a smile on his face as well. I think he really enjoyed that. Never really got a proper chance, though, did he? And that's credit to Torsten Kratz. He pushed. He was right behind. He never really got fully alongside because the 53-year-old from Mönchengladbach just read his every move and upped his pace, looked after the car, and excellent stuff. And Torsten gets the helmet off now. That would have been a hot work as well. It's 23 degrees outside the car, add about 30 to that inside the cockpit with all that heat that's generated from the V8 engines. So these guys have to be hugely fit to deal with this. The track temperature 30 degrees as well, punishing for the tyres. There's Marcus Pommer closest to the picture. He was really pushing on at the end of that race. Got the gap down from around about 14 seconds to 5. And he would have caught them up, I think, with another 3 or 4 laps. But it is this pair that take the victory. Torsten Kratz to the left, Danny Soufi to the right. All smiles for the German-American driver pairing for the Austrian team, Conrad Motorsport. They'll be heading to the podium very shortly indeed. First of all, though, let's get last year's champion Marcus Pommer and Valentino Catalano, fourth in the championship last year. They're quite the pairing as well. They've already had a race win this weekend. Third place for them on this occasion. Valiant effort from this pair. Julian Apostolos started the race, and with all of the pressure that he gave, Riccardo Cirelli drove a fine race as well, didn't he? So those two make their way onto the second step of the podium, but to the top step of the podium, your race winners, Torsten Kratz and Danny Sufi. All smiles, great sportsmanship here with these drivers. Great rivalries, but they're also very respectful of one another. And the winning junior, Danny Sufi, so he'll extend his junior championship title after taking the victory in the class again, as he did yesterday. And the top trophy driver, of course, is his teammate, Torsten Kratz. So they take more points towards the sub-championships, with Conrad Motorsport now being brought up as the team winners. And it's the boss himself that comes up to enjoy all of this, always with that great smile on his face, one of the real characters of international motorsport, the Austrian driver. And now let's get the winning anthem. The Austrian national anthem plays out for the Austrian team, Conrad Motorsport, victors of round 2 of the Prototype Cup Germany. Got another race still to come this afternoon, another 55-minute plus 1 lap race as well, which is due to get underway at 4:40 p.m. So a busy weekend with one of those races rescheduled from Spa. The winner's trophy is now handed then to Torsten Kratz, the left of your picture there on the top step of the podium, and Danny Sufi. And more great silverware to be handed. This is from Philippe Planet from Michelin, who provide the tyres for these cars. And that goes to Riccardo Cirelli and Julian Apostolos for their fine second place. Guido Kernbach from the ADAC handing over the trophies to Marcus Pommer, who still affords a smile. Good effort, Marcus. You were catching them, but you ran out of time. And Valentino Catalano played his part as well. Third place for them. And a winning junior trophy to Danny Sufi. Just about got the right one. So Danny adds to the 25 points he scored yesterday as a top junior in the race. Second place overall yesterday. So that's cumulative by 1.5 points because of his driver pairing as well. So 30 points again, 60 points for him. The top trophy driver was, of course, on the top step of the podium. So Torsten Kratz will get 37.5 points added onto his total. Antti Ramo with a different driver rating, though, scores double points the way it works with the accumulators. So it's going to be a big fight, I think, between Torsten Kratz and Antti Ramo this year for the trophy standings. But for now, they can just enjoy the moment, and we can reflect on what was a terrific second race of the weekend here at the Lausitzring for the Prototype Cup Germany, with another one to look forward to. Yesterday's race was fantastic. Today's was even better, I think, and race 3 hopefully will go out with a hat-trick here at the Lausitzring, because it's been fantastic. I don't think they'll be doing the champagne because they've all got to... Oh no, they will. I was going to say they've got to stay dry for race 3 later on, but hopefully they've got some spare race suits, or they brought the washing machine. It's Franz Conrad that started all of that, of course, with a cheeky glint in his eye. So they celebrate on the podium at the end of a fantastic Prototype Cup Germany race. All smiles, still full of enthusiasm after all these years in motorsport, which is great to see. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Prototype Cup Germany. From me, Chris Hartley, in the commentary box, it's been a blast. Join us again later on for race 3. We'll leave you with some highlights now from race 2 here at the Lausitzring. Bye for now.